Here are the things we learned about advocate George Baloyi, who apparently has never lost a case before. Now, that leaves a lot of questions, especially after this week's display, but we are not there, okay? We are here inside Pagati within Judge Ratter's courtroom, where advocate George Baloyi has been cross-examining, I would say with difficulty, to crack Mzansi Severe. Mzansi Severe has been on the N1 and he's not off-ramping. He knows his story and he knows where he's going. Baloyi tries to take twists, tries to off-ramp him, but Mzansi Severe gets back on track and he does not deflect from his end purpose. And I believe, in my opinion, that Mzansi said to himself, you know what? I'm going to tell my story. No matter what the verdict is going to be, I'm going to make sure that my story is going to be known for decades to come. Hi everyone, welcome back to another Mzansi Unfiltered video where we go over, I can't even believe it, yeah, George Baloyi again, still cross-examining Mzansi Severe. In this week, these are the things that we've learned about George Baloyi, okay? He had no clue that SARS pays returns to some people. Yep, he had absolutely no clue. Secondly, that he reads bank statements and says that they're from an Excel spreadsheet. Since when do banks give out Excel spreadsheets? Where did he get this document? Thirdly, Mzansi tells him, I did not open this account in 2007. Guess what George Baloyi says? Regardless, let's just continue. Regardless? Whose statement are you reading, sir? Then we find out that he doesn't understand the beauty of relationships. We are introduced to Umbali, okay? Umbali and Mzansi. And that Mzansi gave her all his bank cards. Advocate George Baloyi struggles with that. In Mnisi's words, he's a very loyal guy. And I think the worst of them all is when George Baloyi now started to question the Cavella shoes. Now that was like, yeah, you're fishing. It's giving desperate. Now he was going after the shoes, but Mzansi was right there, ready for him, and said, I'm even wearing a pair right now. I have so many pairs. You couldn't possibly think that this is the pair and where I bought it and how I bought it, because they're sold. They might be sold at Spitz, but guess what? There's multiple locations. So don't even try me, Baloyi. Baloyi had to run away from his own topic himself. And then, just when you think you've gone through the worst, in this video, we're going to watch Mzansi Severe explain to advocate George Baloyi that he purchases airtime for his mother. And that just leaves Baloyi so dumbfounded, yeah. And then there's the part where Mzansi has a $4,000 deposit. Just like the SARS deposit, Baloyi just could not understand how Mzansi is getting a deposit from SARS. Somebody put in the comment section that SARS is the one that possibly gave that deposit so that Mzansi could unalive the late SENZO MEYIWA. Because the way advocate Baloyi is asking, it's as if he's going to catch Mzansi in a lie. But SARS is SARS. You are the one who brought the statement. You said you don't care that it was opened in 2007, even though Mzansi says that he never opened an account in 2007 because he was not working then. That was what he said. Now, guess what? At the end of the transactions, there's a long period of no withdrawals, no deposits. And advocate George Baloyi says, why is that? I love Mzansi's answer. It was a classic moment. Mzansi says, because there was no money. And then George Baloyi does the unthinkable. You know, you think he's done the worst? No. He goes back and says, what do you mean there was no money? But there was a deposit in November for $4,000. And Mzansi's like, yeah. I mean, what's this man trying to say? Deposits come in, withdrawals are done, money comes in, money comes out. Does advocate George Baloyi not understand that sometimes bank accounts run dry? And this is what I say, that advocate George Baloyi is book smart, But the street smart element is quite questionable. It's yet to be located, okay? We're yet to send the location for Advocate George Baloyi street smart. But anyway, let me play the clips. I'll be back with the rest of my commentary.
I can see that.
Any comment from your side regarding this transaction?
Transaction.
shilo ukuthi lama transaction angikwazi ukuthi ngapha ukuthi le ekabani ngoba alokho leli card leli alisebenzisa sonke sekunesikhathi eside sasisebenzisa le card leli.
I did explain that I'm not in a position as to who was making these transactions, and because we were using it together and it had been a long time or period that we had been using the card.
13 December 2014, there was a cash withdrawal at ATM Nongoma in the amount of 1,750.
I'm listening.
Is your answer the same regarding this transaction?
Ngoba bengithe mina konke la okunama transaction khona kuleli card leli angikho esimeni sokuthi ngingakhumbula ukuthi ubani wayesebenzisa leli card ngale kule transaction le nakule.
I have already mentioned or stated that on this statement or on this account rather, I will not be in a position to can select and say that this transaction was performed by who or this transaction was performed by who.
Kodwa la kuthenga khona ama-airtime usuke kuyime angisuke ngithenga ama-airtime ngoba ngisho ukuthi ngithengela uma ama-airtime e-MTN mawuthi ama-airtime mawuthi idatha le-MTN ngangithengela uma.
But on these reflections or where I was buying airtime, it was myself because I would buy for my mom.
Now, from the 13th of December 2014, only bank charges were levied against the account. There are no further transactions up until the 30th of June 2015.
So la mhla ka-13 ke kufikela ku-31 kwathathwa nje imali ke yokukhokhiswa yona ekusebenziseni ke ibhanki kufikela ke umhla ka-30 June. Did you say 30?
Yes.
30 June 20.
30 June 2015.
Kufikela ke umhla ka-30 June 2015. I'm listening.
So, Mr. Sibia, the last transaction on this account was on 13 December 2014.
Ayukugcina ukusetshenziswa kwale account. Le account le isebenze ngaze ngaboshwa 2020. Mangiboshwa le account le bilokhu isebenza.
No, that is not correct to say that it worked until the 31st. But this account was active until my arrest in the year 2020.
Yes. What we mean, Mr. Sibia, is that from the 13th of December 2014 until 30 June 2015, there were no transactions on this account.
Sisho ukuthi ke akusukuthi beyivaliwe, sisho ukuthi ukusetshenziswa mhlawumbe ukukhishwa noma ukufakwa kwemali akuzange kube khona kusukela mhla ka-13 December 2014 fikela ke mhla ka-30 kuJune ayizange isebenze.
Kukhomba kanjalo la.
This is what is reflected here.
Is there any specific reason as to why there were no further transactions from the 13th of December 2014?
Objection. This is not what the document says. The document says, on the face of the document, there's an ID number there that belongs to Mr. Sibia, paragraph 3. It says, these are the copies of the bank statement for savings account of Mr. Sibia, being account number, the account that was read into record, the statement for the period 2014-01-01 to 30 June 2015. Roman figure 2 says these were the only transactions for the period requested. It does not say that this was the end of the transaction in this account. In other words, the person who requested this information only specified the period that is indicated, then told the bank that, can you please provide us with this transaction from this period to that period?
Yes, Mr. But we are, I think counsel is agreeing with us. We are saying for this specific period, there were no further transactions.
That's English.
Yes, that's what we're saying. Yes. Now, Mr. Sibia, we ask you as to, is there any specific reason as to why there are no further transactions from the 13th of December 2014 after that last transaction, the withdrawal at ATM Nongoma? From that period up until the 30th of June 2015, there were no further transactions on this account. Is there a reason?
Because there were no funds available. That's why there were no withdrawals made.
And there were also no deposits.
futhi akuzange kufakwe imali.
Ingoba engekho umuntu ozofaka imali kuyo.
Because there was no person who was going to make the deposits on it.
But we saw that on the 24th of November 2014, there was that deposit of 4,600.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Now, Mr. Sibiya, that concludes then the transactions on the 3 bank accounts from Nedbank, Standard Bank, and Capitec.
3 whole different financial institution bank statements read into the record. And I can speak for myself. I'm sure I'm speaking for members of the public jury as well. Baloyi, you failed to place him at the crime scene with those statements. Those statements did not put Mzansi Unfiltered inside Phakathi within. Okay? Makumalo's house. You did not do that. You failed to do that. And Muzi stayed on top of you, and he made sure that he was out there to prove reasonable doubt. Because all you're doing is reading transactions. But none of those transactions actually pulled the trigger. Do you realize that? I just feel like I can't believe that we are saying this to a senior, seasoned prosecutor, as my lord likes to call him. We are still at the end of these bank statements, waiting to find out what happened to SENZO MEYIWA. I'm going to end this video right here. If you've made it this far in the video, you absolutely have my heart. Let me know what you learned from the bank statement. Maybe you see where Baloyi was going, but I feel like he was building his plane as he was flying it, and then he ran out of gas. You know, a plane cannot fly once the fuel is finished. Once the fuel is finished, the plane must land. Voluntarily or involuntarily. Involuntarily, the plane will drop from the sky. So just like that, Baloyi tells us about the 4,000 rands deposit, and he just ends mid-sentence and says that concludes the bank statement portion of his cross-examination. I'm going to check it too. What a waste of our time. What a waste of time. But I'm going to end this video right here. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, to comment, to subscribe. I'll catch you, of course, on the next one. Bye.